Most people think Pocong Cursed Hospital is just a Roblox game, but the story behind it is real. One of the developers revealed what actually happened, but shortly after telling the story, no one was ever able to contact him again. And what he revealed was what really happened inside that hospital. Some people say it's just an urban legend, but the 3 people who worked in that hospital that night never spoke again. It was a rainy night in 1998. In a small town in Indonesia stood Sukamaya Hospital, one of the oldest medical facilities in the region. But for years, the hospital had a terrible reputation because the number of people who died there was far higher than normal. Doctors blamed old equipment, constant power outages, and poor conditions. But the people of the town believed something else. According to them, the hospital was cursed, and the source of that curse was a horrifying incident that happened 30 years earlier. In 1968, a mysterious patient was brought into the hospital, a young man named Rahman. It was said he had been in an accident, but when he arrived at the hospital, doctors noticed something strange. There were unusual marks on his body, as if someone had tied him up and dragged him somewhere. The doctors rushed him into surgery, but during the operation, strange things started happening. The electricity went out 3 times. The monitors in the operating room turned on and off by themselves, and one of the nurses working that night swore that Rahman opened his eyes, but the man was already dead. The incident was recorded in the reports as a stress-induced hallucination. Rahman's body was wrapped in a burial shroud and taken to the morgue. But that night, the morgue attendant witnessed the most terrifying thing of his life. It was exactly 2:17 a.m. The attendant had stepped out of the morgue to grab a cup of coffee. When he returned, the drawer containing Rahman's body was open. The body was gone. At first, he thought someone was playing a prank. But then, he saw something at the end of the corridor. A white silhouette, wrapped in a burial shroud, slowly jumping forward, and the man froze in place, because in Indonesia, everyone knew that story. Spirits buried without their shroud knots being untied return as something called a pocong. The next day, the morgue attendant quit his job, and 1 week later, he disappeared. No one ever saw him again. The hospital management tried to cover up the incident, but rumors started spreading among the staff. At night, some nurses claimed they saw a shadow jumping through the corridors. Others said they heard strange sounds coming from the morgue. But the most disturbing reports came from the patients. Some of them claimed that before dawn, they could hear the sound of a shroud dragging across the floor. Years passed, and slowly, the story was forgotten. But in 1998, everything started again. One night, 3 medical students decided to enter the abandoned hospital. Their names were R.D. Bima and Danu. Their goal was simple. They wanted to investigate the rumors that the hospital was cursed, and they planned to record everything on camera. At first, everything seemed normal. Dusty corridors, broken windows, rusty hospital beds. But the inside of the building felt strangely cold, as if something unseen was moving through the halls. After midnight, they decided to go down to the morgue, because according to the legend, that's where the Pocong was first seen. When they opened the door, a rotten smell filled the air. According to the camera recording, everything looked normal at first, but a few minutes later, they heard a sound. Tup, Tup, tup. It sounded like something was moving by jumping across the floor. Danu slowly turned the camera toward the hallway. Something was there, white, tall, and moving. But it wasn't walking. It was jumping. Bima started laughing. Someone's wearing a costume, but as the camera moved closer, they noticed something. The face didn't look human. Its eyes were completely black, and its mouth was stretched open far too wide. Then something strange happened to the recording. The lights flickered, the audio glitched, and the image cut out for a few seconds. When the recording came back, the hallway was empty. The Pocong was gone, but Ardi was no longer in the frame. Bima and Danu started shouting in panic, "Ardi!" But there was no answer, only that sound again. Tup, tup, a tup. But this time, it was coming from behind them. Danu slowly turned around and saw the most terrifying thing of his life. The Pocong was standing right behind him, its face only inches away, and its eyes were staring directly into the camera. The camera fell to the floor. The footage shook violently. Screams could be heard. Then, for 8 full seconds, there was only darkness, according to police reports. The next morning, authorities received a call about the hospital. Inside, they found a camera, but out of the 3 students, only one was found. Danu. He was discovered unconscious at the entrance of the hospital. Ardi and Bima were never found. Danu didn't speak for weeks. Doctors said he had suffered severe trauma. But one day, he finally said a single sentence. Just one. They never buried him. The doctors asked what he meant, but Danu never spoke again. The hospital was completely shut down a few months later. There were plans to demolish it, but the workers refused to continue on the very first day, because while working inside, they all heard the same sound. Tup, tup, tup. Today, the hospital still stands abandoned, and the locals refuse to go near it at night, because sometimes they say something can be seen through the windows, a white silhouette wrapped in a burial shroud, moving by jumping. And some people believe there is more than one Pocong inside that hospital, because according to the legend, if the knots of the burial shroud are never untied, the spirit can never rest, and maybe there is more than one restless soul in that hospital. So if one day you enter an abandoned hospital and you hear this sound in the corridor, tup, tup, tuppy, don't run, because according to Indonesian folklore, the Pocong doesn't chase you, it simply waits for you.